some people think nothing created the universe, which is the funniest guess. And the nothing people make fun of the God people. They say God doesn't exist. I'm like, okay, maybe. But you know what definitely doesn't exist? Nothing. That's the defining characteristic of nothing, is that it doesn't exist. So what are we talking about? Either you think it's God, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove, or you think it's nothing, something you can't see, touch, taste, photograph, and science can't prove. But I think we can all agree, if your nothing sometimes spontaneously erupts into everything, that's a magical fucking nothing, you guys. And ask the nothing people, what happens when you die? They'll tell you, nothing. You go into nothing. I'm like, you mean you merge back with your creator? That's heavy.
Well, there it is, man. You either believe in nothing or you believe in God, and it's not very logical once you listen to Pete Holmes and his comedy there.
It's pretty funny how he's able to almost, with comedy, prove the existence of a higher creator.
What do you think, Big Steve? You're on the show tonight with us, man. Glad to have you here.
Well, hey, it's good to be back. It's been over a month, man. I thought I got fired or something. I thought maybe I said something too controversial for Base Boys, but no, yeah. I mean, from nothing to something to nothing doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me either, man.
It doesn't.
You gotta believe in something.
Yeah, we wanted to start the show with a little comedy because, today's show is pretty deep, pretty serious.
It's about to get heavy in here.
Yeah, if you have children watching, which I hope children aren't watching this because Michael likes to drop the F-bomb occasionally.
That I do. Randomly as well. Out of context, really.
Out of context. He has Tourette's. But anyways, what we're going to be talking about is pretty heavy subject and things that we're talking about. But seriously, it's great to be here. We have the ability to come to you guys through the airwaves, through the transmission. If we were in the era that Big Steve grew up in, we wouldn't be able to do this. I mean, we need a whole satellite broadcast crew, this whole thing to make this happen and to get our voice and get our opinions out there on the air. Technology has really helped us out. It's a weapon that the globalists are using against us, but we're also going to use it against them as well to
take America back. Yeah,
take America back slowly, one step at a time. So, but we have to take action. So, faith without works is dead. So we just want to continue to maybe inspire some people and then eventually take action ourselves someday too. So with that being said, let's get into the show today. I think it's going to be a pretty crucial topic. Big Steve, do you have anything that's on your mind before we get into the show today?
No, just excited to be back, boys. Just excited to be back.
And it's always a pleasure to have you. Always. You're always welcome. You've never fired. We were just waiting for the right topics for you. All the heavy and hard hitting questions we got for you today.
Well, I wish I would have known that. Maybe I would have studied a little harder.
No, you got
I love it. No worries. Well, you're going into it blind today, so glad to be here. Thank you guys, and let's get into the show today. Well, we made it. We're episode 54 here, Base Boy Story Hour, chugging right along. We might be 100 one of these days, man.
I know it's catching up. Do you remember like a couple months ago when we're at episode like 4 or 5? We're like, wow, it's gonna be crazy when we hit episode 30. We're at episode 54 right now. We're closing in on 100, and our show's only getting better, and we're only getting better and better guests. Onwards and upwards, Excelsior.
Absolutely. Man, it's awesome, though, because, like, we can't do it without the viewers and, slowly growing the audience. And, we want to thank everybody that supported the show to this point. We just want to continue to grow this and be able to provide the resources to really make a change out there. I mean, we've got big goals, big visions. We were discussing the other day. We want to turn this into a platform that is, number one, going to provide you comedic value and also informative value at the same time. But we want to grow this thing into journalists, investigative journalists, and really, fight the what does Alex Jones say? The information war. It's an information war that we face every single day. I hate to take his name, but he's got a great name, and that's what we want to do. We want to follow suit with the community that is seeking the truth.
Yeah, there has to be a time when new voices rise, because Alex Jones, Donald Trump, all of our heroes of the past, even if we want to go back further and go like Michael Savage and all these talk radio characters, we need to be the torch. We need to be the torch carriers. Their era is gone. Our era is arising, and we need new voices, fresh insights, new people to really take up the mantle that a lot of our conservative people in the past have allowed us to really dive into. So we're gonna pick up where they left off and keep on fighting for America, keep on fighting for freedom, keep on fighting the good fight.
Fight like hell.
Exactly.
Is that what they say?
Exactly.
Are you gonna fight like hell, Steve? You're muted there, my man.
I got
Oh, one sec. Technical glitch. There you go. Go back for it.
I was just saying, you guys keep talking about the young guys in the next generation. I'm just the old guy, so I got nothing to say here, right?
No.
I'm too old to carry the torch anymore, right?
Not at all. We always need insight of our our people who basically allowed us to get on this path. That's why we love guidance for people who have been fighting for a long time, who have been conservative for a long time, and who've been basically resisting the mind control that's being put on us. And so we have a lot to learn, and that's one of the reasons why we love having you here, is because not only are you a amazing contributor, but you also have a lot of wisdom that we can glean from and grow with.
Absolutely. Well, let's get into the show today. We got quite a few topics to manage over. So this first one, pretty heavy. So about 7 months ago, there was a shooting in a Covenant school. It was Audrey Hale. She was a shooter, and she killed 3 kids, 3 teachers. That's besides the point. The fact is the Manifesto was released by Steven Crowder today, and his investigative journalist team did an amazing job on this one because, as we all know, those last 7 months, why wasn't the Manifesto released in the last 7 months? Well, once we get into it today, you'll kind of see why that might be the case, because it's gonna break their narrative, and they don't want to see how crazy people are and to see how their ideas are shaping people in a negative way. So that Manifesto was released today. We'll go ahead here and show our first photo here. So this is one of the pages of the Manifesto. Pretty intense. Micah, do you care to take a crack at it and read it? Because I don't want to be the one to be clipped.
Yeah, this is definitely going to get me clipped here. So this is the Manifesto from the shooter. That was...
the other thing is, and we've had mass shootings in this country before, but the first big one, especially involving the school, was Columbine back in '99. Now, you guys are a little younger, you probably don't remember that, but I remember that. And it's just, these shooters become infamous, almost famous in a way, I mean, it's mental illness. It's not about black, white, or this or that. It's these people are, and it's a product of society right now. I mean, we hear so much hate, whether it's what side are you on? Russia, Ukraine. What side are you on? Israel, Palestine. The whole, anybody who supports Trump is the greatest threat to this country. We just, black or white, the whole George Floyd thing. There's so much hate and there's so much division. And let's face it, most people aren't smart enough to differentiate between the two and to look between the two and figure out that mostly what you hear on the news or on TikTok or Facebook or whatever other bullshit social media is a bunch of crap. And that's where the problem comes in. And it's like, It's not a black and white issue. It's not a gay or straight issue. It's the hatred that's pushed out, and these people are just brainwashed by it. Let's get to the root problem of the whole thing, instead of trying to use narrative after narrative for it.
Yeah, and I mean this Audrey Hill, she's a product of the what I call the cult of intersectionality, because it's, they're so, they push this idea of race and all these other things, when it really just comes down to just behavior is really what separates people's success and what separates what somebody can do in life. It's not the color of your skin. It's not none of that. So I wonder how much Lupron or how much gender bending hormone chemicals this person was on. It's quite interesting, because also the school sued to withhold information at some point too. So who really knows what the school is creating? Because we know how woke Christianity is now. I mean, a lot of Christianity are telling you that Jesus is trans, or that Jesus said there could be eunuchs, like men that castrate themselves. So like, who knows how much the school is responsible for? But going back to the whole whiteness thing, just to back it up, here's one example of some dude saying that it's whiteness. Whiteness is our problem.
Well, right. But so we need to be really clear here. The cult is white America. The cult is whiteness. And so you have like white people on liberals, the left, whatever, like breaking out of the cult of whiteness, pretending that like the cult doesn't exist anymore and the cult isn't wielding tons and tons of power, and that because they broke out of the cult, everyone else should break out of the cult. That's not how cults work. And so the belief that Trump is the cult is wrong. The cult is white America. Right? Trump is a representation of that culture. And so we have been indoctrinated. That this is why we're trying to change our education system, and it's also why we can't, because to fight against indoctrination is to fight the indoctrinated, right? To break out of a cult is to fight the cult members. And the cult is whiteness. That's the cult. That's the indoctrination. That is the stylized information from the outside that can never be trusted. The reality of the racial hierarchy in this country. That is the cult. And so Trumpism are people that want to stay in the cult. And the anti-racists and the liberals are the ones that have broken out of the cult, but the cult is still our dominant culture. It still controls the education system, politics, economics, all of this stuff. And so this misunderstanding and this pretending that like Trumpism is the cult and all other Americans are living in reality is not accurate, actually.
Okay, I've had enough of this guy. So I'm trying to look for like maybe a Rules for Radicals book on his shelf, probably something that he would read. And secondly, I never trust a man that does not look well groomed. I mean, come on, dude. But yeah, so you can see this is what they promulgate. He looks a little bit older, but this is what they promulgate to people. The type of narratives that just kind of destroy society and the cohesion that we have, because he thinks it's whiteness. See, Mike, you don't have to worry. You're a Trump guy. You're not. Oh, you are white. Sorry.
I know. But the interesting thing about this video is he tries to take it like a 10,000 foot view, and it's like, oh, it's not just the Trump people. It's everyone. It's whiteness. That's the problem. When really what he's doing is the very definition of racism, which is, I'm going to take a certain demographic of people, say that they're the problem, and what's the solution to the problem? Does he say there's a solution to the problem? How do you break free from the cult of being white? There's implications there that you have to really read into, because when he says the cult of being whiteness is only one way to fix it, that sounds like a little bit of a dog whistle to me. And I don't really want to go where that dog whistle says, but it's clearly a dog whistle for him trying to push propaganda on people. And TikTok, who are the main users of TikTok? Kids, teenagers. We're in an information war. I'm gonna go back to what Zane said earlier, but by quoting Alex Jones. Right now, we are in an information war. And I know Steve said something about, it doesn't really matter what's going on. I might be butchering what you're saying. I'm sorry if I am. But it doesn't really matter what's going on Facebook, TikTok. We need to focus on the culture. And I do agree with that. But at the same time, when our culture lives online, everything that we're hearing is propaganda, We have to almost break free from the propaganda, break free from the stranglehold of our institutions trying to push woke ideology. Because how does this happen? How does an ideology like his happen? How is an ideology that kills 3 students and 3 teachers become so big and then get protected? It gets protected by the mainstream, by the machine. Why does the machine protect that ideology? That's the real thing. Are we a conquered people to an ideology that isn't America first? Are we being conquered by an ideology that puts the pride flag above the American flag, which is, I don't know, unpatriotic? I don't know. I live in America. I don't live in Prideistan. I put the cross first. I don't put people's feelings first. We are seeing people being indoctrinated by an ideology which is basically, I think, a conquering flag. That's why I see the pride flag is. I see it as a hostile enemy flag, which is actually trying to take over our minds, take over our kids, take over our way of life.
Yeah. It's okay to be white, you know? But yeah. Like,
thank you, Saint.
But like, what is the thing with whiteness that they don't like is what I want to touch on, because it at this point to me it seems more of a behavior that they don't like. They don't like the fact that, you know, what do you guys think? I think it's more of a behavioral thing, because when it comes to race, I think it's always more of a behavioral, cultural type thing, is why somebody might have a disdain for a certain color. You know, maybe are they just like, there's no critical thinking skills in what they think. Like, oh, whiteness is just bad.
Here's an interesting thing. I'm gonna pass this up to Steve once I say something. You guys have been through probably corporate America where they say diversity is our strength. Whose strength? I'm passing that to you, Steve. Whose strength is diversity?
I don't think it's anybody's strength. But before I go any further, before I say anything, can you guys get me this little video you played? Saying, can you get me this guy's like home address? Because I would love to send him a mirror for Christmas, just because apparently he doesn't have one. I mean, he's so anti-white.
But he's not white. He's not white. It's all
Oh,
about a
yeah.
behavior. It's how you behave and what you do in life. It's not about color.
No, exactly. This is all about division. It's about it's about splitting people up. You know what I mean? A unified group is harder to defeat and take over and control than a split faction group. You know, you're I mean, you can go back throughout the history of time. You know, I mean, you go back to the Bolshevik Revolution. They you know, it started with them blaming the farmers and this and that. You turn people against people, and that's what they're trying to do in this country. It's the downfall of society. It's the downfall of what's going on, and the fact that people are so brainwashed and people buy all this crap. It's sad. I mean, it's a scary thing. And like you said with Christianity, I mean, I think you could look at the same way with the Jewish religion. It's been hijacked. You know, I mean, you could look at the you know what our founding fathers, you know, built this country on. It's all hijacked and it's all changed and it's all ruined. And it's all about control and power. It's about who can we control and who can we brainwash and who can we have believe all this stuff. I mean, that's the thing. It's all about the you know, the new world order, the one world government, and you know, you got to divide and conquer the people.
Yeah. So we actually just got an interesting comment on our chat. I want to read it off. Thank you. It's either B Iran 76 or BRAN 76. Not sure. But he makes a comment on our channel saying the only way to stop racism is to stop talking about it. What do you guys think of that? Do you think that's true? Do we stop racism, so to speak?
But we're not the ones talking about it. It's the higher educated, low IQ people that have these think tanks and these think groups, and they literally like push this stuff to kids. I mean, they're taught critical race theory. You know, I don't know so much about the gay stuff. I know when it comes to like the whole race thing and the white supremacy stuff, that's what kids are being taught in school. I mean, they have whole classes about it. So like, we want to stop talking about it just as much as this guy does. But if the institutions are pushing it, I mean, you've got to talk about it to expose it, because if it's just hidden, we just kind of like let it go, it's just going to continue to happen, and kids are going to continue to be indoctrinated. So I mean, really just changing what people are teaching kids, I think, is what we got to do.
That's one of my thoughts, because I was reading it, thinking about it, because thank you so much for commenting. We really appreciate that. We're going to start reading off more comments here. And I am actually going to push back on the idea of stopping talking about racism will end racism. I think that's just a way for them to muffle us, being like, oh, it's only racist if you talk about race. But instead, they don't realize that it's just being used to put a gag over us. Them saying, you're not allowed to talk about race, but we are, then makes us silent. It makes us say, hey, I'm not gonna say anything that might rock the boat, because I don't want to be called racist. That line, I think, may have worked in 2015, 2014. I don't know, being called a racist was probably a big insult then, but it doesn't work as much now, because I, as you know, I'm a Christian. I love everybody, but at the same time, when something is being pushed on me, I'm not going to allow it to. I'm not going to allow someone to put titles on me, and I'm not going to allow someone to put a muffle on me because they think that if we stop talking about it, it will end, because it won't. We've seen that. We live in a post-raced America. Like, I'm from California, and it's still being pushed and talked about there. And California is probably one of the most post-race place in the world. It's probably the most race-centric. The thing is, you can't stop talking about it because it is everywhere. And people are pushing it. I think it's a really nice and interesting notion, but I don't think it is a practical solution. What do you think about that, Steve?
Well, I think B-Ran, whatever his name was, I think it's 100% right. You stop talking about it. Let's start working together, work as a team. And it takes care of the problem. But it comes back to, you got to divide the people to keep everybody separate, keep everybody. And you know, when you have people that are so worried about race, this and that, they're not paying attention to everything else that's going on. You know, it's the old Kansas City shuffle. You know, they got you paying attention what's over here, but what's over here is coming to smack you upside the face.
That's their best
it's
tactic.
One of those things that. What's that?
I say that's their best tactic. You know, you're looking over here, someone's going on over here.
Yeah, and that's why it's so thrown and pushed. And you know, you look back to before, what was it, 2012? I mean, you know, we all of a sudden we had our first black president, President Obama, and he could have done. Not that I agree with a whole lot of what President Obama says, stands for, or believes in, but he could have been the guy who tied the whole thing together. But really, if you look at the Obama administration and where race relations were before his 8 years and after his 8 years, it's totally different. It is. It's not about black hate. I mean, are you going to have white people that hate black people? Yeah. You're going to have black people that hate white people. Why? Because you're stupid. You're never going to get rid of stupidity in society. Or you're never going to get rid of stupidity in mankind. But your average person, whether you're a black person or white person, they really don't give a rat's ass until it's pushed down their throats. And if you're a young black person in this country and you're told that you can't ever become anything because the white person's holding you down, yeah, you're going to have animosity. And that's the sad part. But that's how they keep us divided. That's how they keep us distracted.
Well, you wanted us to stop talking about racism. Unfortunately, I have some bad news. We have one more clip I want to show you, because this is it's a little different angle, kind of an interesting double standard here. Let's play this real quick. Oops, we're muted.
Parents want to know what's happening inside the school. WBZ's Christina Hager's live in Bellingham tonight. Christina, the school says hate has no place on its campus.
Elisa, the superintendent sent out an email this week saying he's deeply saddened and that the school staff works hard to create an environment where all students can feel like they belong. But some parents here say more needs to be done. Stop white hate, said the sign near the entrance of Bellingham High School. Police say 2 residents removed it when they saw it Saturday and brought it here to the police department, concerned about the tone.
I don't know what led to it. I don't know why they put it up there. I don't know if it was a parent that's upset because of the way things are going.
Since the spot is removed from the high school building, police say there are no security cameras where someone had propped the sign up along the main road.
There are hate crimes, right? And they have hate crime rules in the school, so enforce them.
It has some parents concerned. Tiara Bacchus's daughter told her about it after the superintendent sent this email calling it deplorable.
She kind of said it nonchalant, like it's okay. And we just kind of looked like, how is this okay? And how are you going to just send out an email and expect everything to be fine? It's heartbreaking.
She says it's not the first time her kids have experienced racial tension at school.
These boys had a rope and they kept on saying the N-word. And my daughter, she got up and she went to the guidance counselor.
Police say school resource officers never heard about that.
The nice part with having the SROs up there is we want the kids to go to them. They're visible. They're there all the time and they're visible. So if they had a concern or have a concern, by all means, they should go talk to them.
Oh, well, what if we put up a sign that says "Stop Black Hate"? It's because we're white people. We're not oppressed. We're the oppressors. We're the ones that are doing all the harm to black people. They're the victims. So it's quite a double standard. We see it all. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but any thoughts on that, guys?
And that's one of the reasons why I kind of go back to that one thing, and we can't stop if we stop talking about racism, it won't be a thing. I don't necessarily believe that, because this is the idea that's being put, and you say something like stop white hate. How often do we see stop Asian hate? And that was being pushed on every single social media platform for about a year and a half. Same thing with George Floyd, Black Lives Matter. It's the same exact thing. But then someone says, hey, let's not hate white people. They go like, wow, we need to get the police involved. We need to get the superintendent involved. This is a hate crime. How does saying stop white hate equate a hate crime? See people fight back because it doesn't make sense that he lost. 2020, it doesn't make sense that he lost. But at the same time, this is just a further proof that he is going to be winning the legitimate vote, and Biden is going to be taking the illegitimate vote.
See if there's even an election in 2024. We are actually tomorrow will be 1 year from the election.
Oh wow!
Yeah, because it's first Tuesday, I believe, sometime in November. So we're literally almost approximately a year away from the election. So things are about to ramp up. I would just be paying attention for a false flag, something similar to COVID. I really don't know what's up their sleeves, but do you think? Big Steve, you think there's an imminent threat to halt this election? Obviously, they're going to try to do something. What do you think?
Oh, I think they are. And that's kind of the part that scares me is what are they going to do? They couldn't beat Biden the first time. The evidence is out there. They've shown that it's statistically impossible for the election to happen the way it did. It actually just came out in the state of Wisconsin the other day. The Assembly Speaker Robin Vos, they've been talking about trying to impeach him in the state of Wisconsin because he's kind of been sitting on this and not doing anything. So he's trying to, and I forget the lady's name, who's charge of state elections for Wisconsin, but some of this information came out. on the voter rolls in the computer system, there's only over 7 million names on the Wisconsin voter rolls. There's only like 6 million, just over 6 million people in Wisconsin. There's only about 400,000 people in Wisconsin registered to vote. Sorry, 700,000 wasn't 7 million. But I mean, it's so you're talking almost 300,000 more names on these voter rolls in databases in Wisconsin than there are actual registered voters. Name throughout history. Name a group that's stolen an election or taken over an election or taken over control that's been willing to give it up. That they don't do it, And I mean, they're trying everything. I mean, this bullshit trial in New York, the bullshit deal in D.C., the bullshit deal, these legal Trump cases against Trump, and none of them hold any water. Trying to keep them off the ballot in Colorado. Now they're talking, Minnesota, Michigan, I think Pennsylvania. They're even talking about it now too. They have got to do something because they cannot win. I was listening or reading something earlier today, and they were talking about the African American vote. Right now, Trump is polling better than any Republican in history. With Hispanics, he's polling better than any Republican in history. I think the only group that Biden's leading on is suburban white women, which I don't even know how the hell that works. They are going to do something. Whether it's another COVID thing, I don't know. Is the American people going to buy that again? Is it going to be an attack? Is it going to be a war? Is it going to be whatever? But I fear something is going to happen, and I fear we're not even going to have an election.
So when you said the suburban white women, they're the ones who are Biden's biggest supporter. Is that like in favor? Are you trying to like dog whistle that women shouldn't vote, or?
No, I'm just saying that's what the polls are showing. Is that's the only group he's more favorable with.
Okay, so what you're saying is, in order to save the republic, take away women's right to vote. I'm with you.
No, I'm not saying that. I don't understand it, but no, that's like the only group that he's actually polling favorable in right about now. I'm like suburban white women, which I don't understand why, but I mean that's like the only group he's from what I saw earlier today. Now this could change, and I mean, and I don't even remember what source this was that put these stats out. But that was kind of his only favorability rating was suburban white. So, but that's the thing is that he can't win this. He couldn't win the election first without massive fraud and cheating. And I truly believe, and I think you guys are probably on with me on this one, is that the whole COVID thing was designed for A, distraction. Number two, we could shut everything down and have mail-in ballots. It's going to be a hell of a lot easier to cheat. I don't know if the public's going to buy into the coronavirus style lockdown. I mean, yeah, there's some people that will, but they've got to come up with something to take this election again.
They don't have
what
anybody.
What is that going to be?
Democrats don't have a single soul to put in the shoes of Joe Biden. I mean, if you're a Democrat, you're kind of hopeless. I mean, they've got Chunk Yogurt. He's probably trying to run as a Democrat.
I think there could be a different play that they're making here. I think, what have we seen over the past 3 years with mass immigration? We've seen millions pour over the border. Like, was it even between 7 and 10 million? Donald Trump promised to deport most of them. Biden is promising basically amnesty for all of them. The interesting thing is if Biden does like if something, I think there's some play that they're trying to make there. It is really weird that they're trying to push mass immigration so heavily and just take them to different key battleground states. I remember one episode we went over every single state that has been shipped migrants, and it is mostly to the battleground states. And I think that there's something weird going on with that, and I think that's the thing that we should be looking out for is voting migrants, because if they think that their bread ticket, if their welfare is going to be taken away by Donald Trump, they're not going to be very big supporters of him if they think that they might get deported. And that's where I think a lot of fraud might come from. And I think we need to actually kind of keep an eye on that so that it doesn't actually happen.
I mean, we're at 7 to 10 million illegals in the last 3 years. They're projecting that number to be, I've heard, up to 14 million by next year at the rate. I mean, we see all the videos. We see everything they do to let these people in, cut the razor wire, lift the razor wire, just let them drive them over in buses and just let them off, block all the media with the bus and let these people through. It's really sickening to see, and I think they'll try to pull anything with this man, or even just let him win at this point, and continue the shenanigans to attack him and discredit him and run their smear campaigns. I mean, he's on the verge of being removed from the ballot. Colorado, Minnesota. I don't know what's gaining traction on those, but you know, it really is quite the turning point we're at as America, man, because like, we don't have faith in the election. You have a mass of people that don't have faith in any bureaucratic institution. I mean, I think we're to a point, man, where if you were to poll people, like, if we're going to need another 1776, you know, to turn things around. And is that 1776 going to be peaceful? Is it going to be humane? Like, I mean, what happens? I mean, 100 years from now, if this continues to go on, I mean, do you think people will just be suppressed, or do you think people will eventually just revolt if we're not living in the pod and eating bugs?
That's a good question. I'm gonna pass that to Steve. Do you think that we're gonna be? Do you think that there's a way out, or do you think that this is the globalists' goal? Do you think that this is their mission in order to basically cripple America and bring us to our knees and make us succumb to the New World Order?
Oh, I definitely think it is. I mean, I think that's why they're letting this whole migration thing. And I saw something a couple of years ago, and they said that at the rate it was going, 1 in 4 people in this country by the end of Biden's presidency are going to be illegal. Now, you take states like California, Tennessee is one of them, Illinois, New York, you know, a lot of these states where they'll let illegals go get a driver's license. All of a sudden, they get a driver's license, they get proof of ID, now you can go vote. So I mean, I think that's some of it, but it's in everything we've talked about today. Whether it was the shooter and the hatred and the division, whether it's the whole racism thing and stop white hate and all this stuff, it's all division. It's all splitting us and fracturing this whole country apart. Another 1776. I don't know. I mean, you've got. You know, it's hard to say because, I mean, how many people are like-minded, like, say, the 3 of us, you know what? But, you know what, I mean, most people are too busy, you know what? Unfortunately, I think the country is going to roll over.
I think what you just said is absolutely right on. I couldn't agree with you more. It is a communist takeover. The same thing that's happened in the Bolshevik Revolution is when they turned the people against each other and then had them fight themselves, basically, in order to take down a country and take it over. You're right. It is a communist insurgency that's been almost taking over America, infiltrating our school system, infiltrating the higher education. Because one of the things that I find is I don't have a problem with higher education. Like, I know there's a lot of people who say, don't send your kids to school, which I think there is a lot of merit to that, especially since they're trying to indebt your kids they're trying to like make them slaves through debt, which is disturbing to say the least. Usury. Because it's usury. And so what they do is they charge your kids exorbitant amounts of money to get a degree that they think they need. When they're 18 years old, they take out really big loans and they have to pay them off for the rest of their life, and then they're enslaved to the system, and then the system works against them. The system uses the arm of the military, the police, which is basically enacts whatever this insurgency wants. And so that's one of the biggest questions that we have to look into, is how do we beat this insurgency that's taken over our higher educations? Is it to get new professors in there, or that's going to chew them up and spit them out, saying like, nah, no tenure professors who don't pledge allegiance to the communist, Marxist, socialist ideas? Do we take to the streets and start protesting? Well, we see what happens when that on January 6th, rules are not being actually given. Like, rules are not being enforced. For some, they're being enforced, and for some, they're being completely ignored.
Yeah, I mean, we see a two-tier justice system with these protesters, because we go protest a stolen election. We protest anything for the conservative America First movement. You get locked up like Owen Schroyer or Enrique Tarrio. By the way, did you see he's getting 30 days solitary confinement?
Solitary?
Yeah. They put him like a week solitary. Sorry, digressing. But yeah, 30 days. It's almost to demoralize the man at this point. But we see the two-tier justice system because, look, you can go out and protest Palestine all day in the streets, which, yes, you have the right to protest. But we see here these individuals are destroying statues. They're writing over walls of the White House. And I guarantee you that we're not going to see the exact same punishments to the people that are doing this. And this is really what our problem is. We talked about it earlier. All these people coming here to this country with third world behavior. They come over here, and a lot of these are college kids, right? Because this is what they teach in the university. I mean, you look at a lot of these people that are young. They go to university, and they're being told to support either, support Palestine, free Gaza, support the PLO, which I don't support Palestine. I don't support Israel. I don't support Palestine. I support America.
America first, baby.
America first, and this whole thing. But it's the un-American, the woke mind virus that is spreading this, because a holy war all the way on the other side of the world is making its way into this country. And this is exactly what elites want. They want that to take over America, because you can't. I think what we see a lot is a fight for currency reserve or currency rights right now between many different factions. And I think currently you have factions that are trying to maintain the petrodollar at this point. So that's really what we're seeing currently. But that's what people are trying to do. I think they're trying to attack us and put all these people here for elections and to continue to further this, what we like to call the woke mind virus. Anything that's not America is kind of on that woke mind virus train.
Yeah, it is a total woke mind virus, and to fight it, we have to understand it, and to understand it is to see it. Because, like, for example, we went that old video. Remember that the clip we watched almost the very beginning with that one guy talking about how whiteness is the enemy, whiteness is the cult. And we look at someone like that. He's fully adopted the ideas of the left. He's fully adopted the communist Marxist ideals of down with the power structures and death to America, so to speak. He wants to basically bring down the order of America by saying that every single structure that we have is racist. Ergo, you need to free your mind by being anti-racist and to protest the injustices of the American system. It's wild to see, because we're watching 7 to 10 million, possibly way more, up to 14, come into America because they want the opportunity, they want the money, they want to milk the American system. Why aren't they all concerned about the racism of America? Why aren't they all concerned about how America has a racist past that we need to overcome? What's going on is that they're using the American system, they're draining the American resources in order to benefit themselves. I'm just plain and simple sick of it, because we're watching American... Let's go back to this term. The conservatives basically give in to every single demand that the woke mind virus is. Like, they gave in to the woke mind virus. They don't fight back. They just every now and then put a little bit of a brake on it by just maybe shifting down a gear.
Should just divide America into two parts. You know, if you want to be pro-America, be over here. If you want to be pro-woke mind virus, you go over here. You know, or just deport all of this behavior. I mean, it's pretty disgusting to see what we're seeing here. So I want to get into our last story here. This one, Dad, I know you're a gun guy, so I wanted to bring this one up for you because, well, AR-15s are not protected by the Second Amendment, according to Seventh Circuit. So, article here from Breitbart. Yeah, we're going hard with Breitbart articles. We only share right-wing news here. So on Friday, 3-judge panel of the United States Court of Appeals for the Seventh Circuit overturned an injunction against Illinois assault weapons ban, deciding that AR-15s are not protected by the Second Amendment. So what we got here, this decision was appealed to the Seventh Circuit, where a 3-judge panel decided 2-1 against the injunction. So the one that did not vote for it was a Trump-appointed judge. The other two were Reagan and Clinton-appointed judges. But basically what he says is, like most rights, the second secured by the Second Amendment is not unlimited. So do you guys think the Second Amendment has limits, or is it unlimited? Because for me, it's not about guns. It's not about weapons. That's not what the Founding Fathers had in mind. They wanted to stop tyrannical governments, okay? They did not care about the weapons. I mean, technology is, yes, far more advanced than it is now, right? Or than it was back in the day. But fundamentally, human rights have not changed in the 200+ years since our founding documents were created. So it's really just to protect against tyrannical governments, and that's what I believe. So do you guys think there's a limit to the Second Amendment?
I'll go first because I think Steve probably has a way better idea on this than I do. So I look at it and I go, I do not think there should be a limitation on the Second Amendment. I hate when people use the argument like, "Hey, I need my hunting rifle." You know, that's not a valid argument. That's a stupid argument because that's not what it is made for. Second Amendment was made to protect Americans' rights. It was made to ensure that we could have a well-regulated militia to defend ourselves. And that's my thing with it. Assault weapons are not evil. Assault weapons are a tool. Assault weapons are a tool to basically protect ourselves from tyranny. Assault weapons are a tool to protect ourselves against the home invaders. Assault weapons are a tool to protect ourselves against the enemies, both foreign and domestic. And that's my thoughts on it. So I'm going to pass it to Steve because he's got way more insight than I do on this.
Well, first of all, you keep saying assault weapons. What exactly is an assault weapon?
Yeah, stop using that word.
Assault weapon is just a cool gun.
I mean, you know, they take this whole assault weapon on.
It's a democratic term.
It makes them more scary. It makes them more scary to the people. I think it was one of your guys' show here a week or so ago where you had, you know, everybody's favorite Joy from The View on, talking about how you can't hunt with an AR because that bullet would just totally destroy and kill a deer and there'd be no meat left. Well, I've gone hunting with my .308. It's a much bigger round than the 5.56 that the AR shoots. There isn't a limit on weapons, you know what I mean? I personally wish I could have a tank or a couple artillery pieces in the front chair personally, but I mean, that's just me.
Well, these people are uneducated.
The Second Amendment is not about hunting. It's not about this and that. It's about basically in keeping the government honest. You know what I mean? You look back at how many other regimes, whether it was Hitler, whether it was Mao, whether it was Castro, Chavez in Venezuela or wherever, one of the first things they do is they ban being able to own guns. Well, you know, because I mean, if you have a public that's totally and completely unarmed, a little easier to control and push all your tyranny out.
The hostile insurgency that just wants to see America fall. The communist Marxist revolution going on in America can only happen when the Americans' men are weak and disarmed.
Well, my last point to add to this, another thing that really agitates gun owners and people like ourselves is the incompetence when it comes to the anti-gun movement. You recommend, you just referenced Joy Behar a few moments ago and her lunacy and not knowing what the difference between a hunting rifle and an AR and the impacts on it that it has on a deer. The people that think AR stands for assault rifle, that stands for Armalite rifle. The list goes on of just incompetence that they think it's because it's propaganda, dude. It's the same thing we see with the race thing. They just take the weak, shitty talking points without any critical thinking, and then they just go with it. They don't really think about the facts. So if you're gonna have an opinion, at least try to put some thought behind it. So with that, don't let them take the guns. I lost all my guns in a boating accident.
And here's the big reason they want to get rid of the gun. If you take if you just take the deer hunters in the state, it's like the state of Wisconsin, the state of Pennsylvania, and the state of West Virginia. Those 3 states, if you just take the people that go out every year deer hunting, those numbers become the largest military, or larger than any military in this world. I mean, it's 3 states out of 50. I mean, it's the amount of guns, the amount of people, and the guns aren't the problem. It's a small section.
Yeah.
You're right. Guns aren't the problem. White people are the problem.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that,
damn
Steve.
white people.
Yeah, white people are the problem. No, it's just the fact that the government doesn't want us to have guns. Easier to control.
Well, another funny thing too is you say we need guns to maintain our balance between us and a tyrannical government, and then these people be like, well, they have tanks and bombs and nukes. You're useless against these governments, and it's like that's exactly why we need the guns. Like, you just want to be unarmed against tyrannical, corrupt governments that would. I mean, I'm not saying I don't think the guerrilla warfare is kind of dead and over. I mean, I don't really think that that's how you attack people. Like we said earlier, it's an information war. It's all psychological warfare to this point. But still, I would rather have the guns than not have it. I mean, it's pretty obvious at this point. So,
absolutely, yeah. We as Americans need to stay armed. We need to stay brave. We need to stay absolutely firm in our beliefs. We can't bend, or we can't buckle. We can't succumb to any of their propaganda. We actually need to stay strong in this and continue fighting this all the way up to the Supreme Court and even past that, because we're not giving away our guns. We're not giving away our freedom. We're not giving away our rights, and that's it. That's final. That's what us as Americans need to continuously say. That's what us Americans need to continually keep pushing for, because the only safe America is a well-armed America.
Absolutely. Well, with that, man, just stay strong. Be a fighting American. Freedom ain't free. You always got to fight. And a lot of it is, we say all the time, it's information war. So give yourself the information to combat the political tyranny, the corporate tyranny, and the basically, one world governments and what they're trying to move us towards. And we can't do it if we're active, we're not dormant, we're not talking about it. Just like guys said the other day, I want to talk about racism. I don't want to talk about it, but it's like you have to talk about these issues to make the change. And that's what we're trying to do here, is bring about the most important issues going on throughout the day and kind of just give you the meaning to what it is to be an American, because a lot of young kids, I think, are lost nowadays and don't really have a connection with that anymore. I grew up in a very patriotic, I'm going to say very patriotic, but I was told to like America and love America. Nowadays, they're just told to hate white people in America now. So, love America, love white people, and love everybody. So,
exactly.
With that, if you guys have anything else to add before we head out tonight?
No, I think I've said everything that I needed to say. We need to stay armed and we need to stay brave. That's like our message here. Well, that's my message, at least.
Awesome. Big Steve, what you got?
Stay aware, pay attention, and educate yourself and educate the people around you. and hopefully we can turn the ship around.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to have you guys on the show tonight. Audience, thank you for watching. Thank you for commenting as well. We always love more comments. We have a vision of one of these days. We would like to do call-ins. Once we get a little bit more viewers, it's a super easy setup. We can make it happen. We just kind of need the bandwidth to be able to do it with viewers and audience tuning in. The more viewers we get, I think it'd be a great live interaction to get your viewers on, and hopefully. I can't imagine in the space that we're in, we're going to get much opposition, but that's what we want. We want